Now, I recently got into racing games, and honestly, it's been addicting. I'm currently using the Logitech G Pro wheel, and I found myself obsessed with finding the perfect settings on this direct drive wheel. After countless hours of learning and researching on forums and tweaking settings myself, these are the best settings that I've found. Okay, let's go take a look at our wheel settings. Let's start with the Logitech G Hub software. Once you have the wheel connected, go ahead and select your wheel. The first setting is sensitivity. 50 sets the steering response to a linear scale. Keep it at default. For operating range, most cars run on a 900-degree steering angle, so I suggest we keep it the same. And for dampener, you usually want to keep this low as possible, but with Forza Horizon 5, since it was primarily a controller game, we'll need to bump this up to 30 to help eliminate wobble. Now for strength, for the maximum level of fidelity, we'll set this to the max of 11 Nm. With force feedback filter, setting this at 8 keeps the details of the forces on the wheel while filtering any huge unwanted feedback. True force feedback unfortunately isn't supported in Forza Horizon 5 yet, so there's nothing to change here. Now those are the settings in Logitech G Hub. Let's open up Forza and change some in-game settings. Now the first thing we're going to do is to set steering to simulation. This will enhance the realism of the steering wheel. Setting this to standard dampens the external forces that we would feel on the steering wheel. And since we're sim racing, we want all this information and we want it channeled directly to our wheel. That's why we're setting it to simulation. If you go down to advanced controls, you'll find the other settings we need to adjust for the wheel. The first one to disable is vibration, because this adds unnecessary noise in the game. So turn that off. As for settings like invert look and dead zones, keep these at default. We won't fuss with the vibration scale since we've already disabled it. Next, let's talk about force feedback scale. Think of it as a steering strength setting on the Logitech G Pro. Keep this setting at 1 to use the full strength of the wheel. We don't want to raise it any higher than that to avoid any clipping issues. Center spring scale is up next. This is a static artificial force that constantly pushes the steering wheel back to center. It's not based on any external forces acting on the car. Real cars don't have this feature, so I suggest setting it all the way down to 0 or 0.1 to keep the experience authentic. Wheel damper scale is another artificial setting. Think of a scenario where you're driving on ice. That's what the lowest setting feels like. It would allow you to move the steering wheel without resistance. Setting it to the max value will make you feel like you're trudging through mud. Keep the setting to default. I set mine at 1. Next up is mechanical trail scale. While this sounds complex, it's actually pretty straightforward. Mechanical trail scale lets you adjust the strength of the sensation you feel from your front tires gripping the road. Now the best way to understand this is to try it out yourself. Let's go ahead and set this setting temporarily all the way down to 0.1. Go ahead and save that. And then let's try something on the wheel. Here we are in an open field. Let's go ahead and start driving. Now, once you pick up speed, start turning all the way to the left and right. And what you should feel is that at some point here and at some point here, the wheel starts to slip. That's your tire losing grip and causing understeer. All mechanical trail scale does is emphasize this. Another way to look at this is to open up telemetry. It should be T on your keyboard. You'll probably need to set this setting on the controller. Now, go over to the friction page and you'll see 4 circles with phone-looking things on your screen. These represent your 4 tires and how much grip they have on the road. We're only focusing on the top 2 green circles here on the screen. A green circle means that your tires still have full grip on the road. Now, as you start losing grip or start experiencing understeer, these green circles will turn red, as you can see here. At some point, you're going to start feeling it slip, like your direct drive motor suddenly turned off. That's the point that you're actually losing grip and experiencing understeer. So now that we know what mechanical trail scale is and how it feels, we're going to go back to settings and set this to 0.8. You can adjust this to your taste from 0.5 to 1. but stay around that value so you can still feel understeer with the mechanical trail scale. Next, we have force feedback minimum force. This is another simple one. All this sets is the amount of G-force you feel on the wheel. For example, when you're turning left, your body's getting pushed to the right because of the G-force. As you're turning right, your body is going to be pushed to the left. So this just decides how much of that force you feel on your steering wheel. I usually set this at 0.2 because I want to feel a lot of it when I'm driving. Now, if force feedback minimum force is the side-to-side forces on the wheel, force feedback load sensitivity is the up and down motion of your car. Basically, you're setting how much you want to feel suspension changes on your wheel. I like setting this to 1.1. Setting this to 1.5 is going to make you feel every pothole. Or if you take off on a ramp, the moment you land, your wheel is going to go crazy. For road feel scale and off-road feel scale, these are the extra details of the road and off-road. These are the little bumps that you may or may not want to feel on your steering wheel. Forza Horizon 5 has these settings too high, so I've lowered them each to 0.5. Lastly, steering sensitivity. I prefer to keep it at 0.5, ensuring a linear response. This makes sure that the wheel matches one-to-one with in-game movements. And there we have it, a comprehensive walkthrough of the settings to optimize your sim racing experience. Give them a try and adjust based on your preferences. Just comment below if you have any questions and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks.